Every week here in South Africa, but something that we're looking at, and I know it's going to bring some smiles onto your faces, and that's little dogs that have gathered outside of the SABC this morning. And we're talking about some issues that are affecting our little furry friends, and we certainly do see a lot of these pets that never necessarily ever get medical help. I mean, if you think about it, they aren't necessarily state hospitals for dogs, so you have to afford veterinary care, and veterinary care is very, very expensive. I can tell you one thing, Ayanda, I hope you're listening, because I know you've just bought yourself a little puppy. My dog was diagnosed with kidney stones, would you believe it? Now, we love this little guy so much, so we'll do anything to keep him around. But 15,000 Rand later, I was crying. I have to tell you that much. It was very expensive, but I mean, you know, these are some of the things you need to do. It's just, you love them, you'll do anything to keep them around. So let's find out what these guys are doing that you're joined there by, Ayanda. How's your puppy doing, by the way?
Oh my gosh, Leanne, this is not a good day for me to be talking about pets, I can tell you, because that little guy, as gorgeous as he is, it's a job to look after them. I tell you, he wakes up in the middle of the night, he's crying, he wants attention. I leave for work and he's crying. It's just like a child, actually. But, you know, he makes up for it because he's so adorable and so cute. But yeah, Leanne, I mean, the statistics vary. Anywhere between 6 to 9 million dogs we have here in South Africa, but only 15% of them actually access professional veterinary care. So that means a whopping 85% of the four-legged friends that we have here in South Africa never get treatment, and that is why SAVA CVC, that's the South African Veterinary Association, they launched the community community veterinary services. And I know I've butchered that up because I have the doctor here standing next to me, and he's going to give me those details, and he's going to tell me exactly why it is that professional vets leave their professional space and go out into these disadvantaged communities, offering services to communities there at minimal cost. I must tell you, anywhere between 10, 15, 50 Rand, which, as you've just mentioned, Leanne, is nothing compared to 15,000 Rand that you spend. So they offer low cost, and it's sometimes free to those communities. So let's speak to Dr. Dave Kenyon now to tell us a little bit more about what they do at CVC. Please first start by clarifying that acronym for me, because I know I just messed it up.
SAVA Community Veterinary Clinics.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about what you do and how you do it at CVC.
Okay, basically, pretty much all private veterinarians are involved in charity of some description. And what the CVC does, we facilitate access to donations, to funding, to cooperation agreements with various stakeholders. So we basically help the process of private veterinarians helping in the disadvantaged communities.
So is this once a year, once a quarter? How often do you go to those communities, and what exactly do you do?
Well, we have over 30 clinics throughout the country, and it varies from clinic to clinic. The ones that I'm involved in are on a 2 weekly basis. We have clinics that are on a monthly basis, and we also have various campaigns where we go out for a week or a few days at a time and deliver these services to deep rural areas, for example.
Sterilization, vaccinations, and general pet care are some of the services that you offer.
That's correct, yeah. We focus on what we call primary health care, and basically what that is just, as you said, sterilization is very important, vaccinations and parasite control, deworming and ticks and fleas.
You know, when I first got exposure to CVC, I thought to myself, you're going into these impoverished areas where the people themselves need help. Why focus on the dogs? And then I actually realized that if you treat the dogs, then things like rabies, which actually kills some of the human beings there, are dealt with. Why did you take a stand and say we need to help the pets in order to help the humans?
Well, there is the health aspect to it. For rabies, other diseases that can be transmitted from pets to pets to human beings as well. But a lot of it is about education and just respect for life, respect for animal life, then translates into respect for human life. And at the end of the day, we are just caring where we can in the community. We can't do other things in the community, but we can help with the pets. That's where the vets will come in to do that.
Love it. And animals are so therapeutic. I mean, I just see these little guys, you know, in the dusty streets of Soweto with their little dogs, and they play as if they are Richard Branson or you name it, one of the rich billionaires, because they have this puppy in their life, and it actually enriches their life so much. But speak to me now about funding, because I know that your services are, you know, you barely break even at times, because that's like 10 Rand, 20 Rand, 50 Rand for the services, and sometimes even for free. How do you get the funding?
Well, first of all, we make sure that we don't encourage a culture of entitlement in the communities we go into. We make sure that where they can, they pay at least something towards it, but that doesn't come close to covering the costs. The funding comes from various sources. A lot of it is private individuals who will donate to us. We have fundraising campaigns. We have a fundraiser that does that for us. And a lot of the funds actually come from the government. We have a long-standing agreement with the Gauteng Department of Agriculture that subsidises the sterilizations that we do and also supplies the vaccine. So without them, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we're doing in Gauteng anyway.
And how do you empower pet lovers in disadvantaged communities with limited resources to be the best that they can be in terms of a best buddy to their dogs or their cats or whichever pets that they have?
It's actually amazing what the people in these poor communities do for their animals. The amount of effort they put in with extremely limited resources, it's actually amazing to see. And where we come in is we can basically educate them, tell them what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do, and obviously help them with the stuff that we have, with the primary health care, keep their pets healthy. Obviously that will be less of a burden on them if their animals are healthy. And we also focus on sterilization a lot, because if the animals keep on breeding, having puppies, then it's actually a burden on them. So we educate, we help them as far as that's concerned to do the best that they can do with their resources, and then we help as far as we can from the primary healthcare side.
Love it. And lastly, let's go back to the rabies issue and talk about its prevalence and just how serious it really is. What are the figures and the stats around that in terms of human infection and also the doggies that we have that may have rabies in South Africa?
All we can really go on is the reported cases, and we know that there's a lot more cases that aren't reported that simply happen far away we don't know anything about. But we're talking about 10 to 30 human cases of rabies per year, and that's always fatal. So that's 10 to 30 human cases per year. And over 100 dogs are confirmed with rabies each year. But we know that there's way more than that. The assumption is that it's all in the rural areas, in Limpopo, in KwaZulu-Natal, etc. But there are sporadic outbreaks in Gauteng as well, and in a lot of the in the Cape, etc. So you have to be vigilant all the time. It is a major problem in South Africa.
We'll have to leave it there, at least for now. Clearly, your work is a matter of life and death, not just for the dogs, but also for human beings. And when we come back a little bit later, I think in about an hour's time or so, we're going to speak about the psychosocial effects of having a pet. You know, for me, it's astounding that even people in the lower LSMs or in dire socioeconomic conditions, we sometimes write them off and say they don't have capacity to love pets, but it's not true. And that's a myth that we are looking to bust today, because they love animals just as much as anybody else. And it's not a, quote, white people thing, because I grew up in the township and I saw pets then. We had one. Okay, the relationship might be different. I won't let my pet sleep on my bed or eat from my plate, but I don't love him or her any different. And I think those are some of the misconceptions that we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at the effects of keeping a pet, both on children, on the elderly, on the lonely, on those who are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, and a number of other issues. So you be sure to join us at around 7:35 or so. Right now, it's all for us, at least for now.